Yes, hello everybody and welcome to the MLS Transfer Roundup show. You're tuned into Social Soccer with me, Sammy Thomas. This is the place to be for all your global and European transfer news and football news. Great to have you on board. Got a really interesting show in store for you today because the transfer window's finished over in the States. We're going to be looking at the ins, we're going to be looking at the outs, and we're going to be looking at the nearlies as well. So that's what we're going to cover off in the show. We're also going to do a bit of a rundown. We're going to look at the top five, in my opinion, the top five signings of the window. Spoiler alert, it doesn't include Tim Ream. It doesn't include Moranchuk. It doesn't include Marco Reus. We try and do things a little bit different here, a little bit different to the mainstream and what you're normally used to. So if you're a football fanatic, you're in the right place. Let's take a look at what went on in the final 2 days of the transfer window over in the USA. Before we jump in, if you're new here, hit the like button and feel free to give us a subscribe as well. If you're wondering why, what is the channel about? Well, literally, we cover all things European football on a global basis. We have daily transfer roundup shows covering all the transfers that have happened in Europe, result shows as well, recapping all the results of the matches that have happened across Europe. That is daily as well. We have match reactions. We'll be doing our first one this Friday, and I am a season ticket holder for AFC Bournemouth, so I go to every single Premier League game, home and away as well. I'll be taking my trusted camera with me, so subscribe for one, when I go live in the concourse in the away end, and two, to get the match day vlogs as well. There's loads to appreciate on the channel. If you're a football fanatic like we are and like everybody here in the community is, hit the subscribe button. It's great to have you on board. And look, here's to a great season. There's lots for us to cover, so great to have you here. Let's get involved. So let's talk about the transfer window then, because it promised to be quite an eventful one over in the States. There was rumours around Miggy Almiron. There was rumours around Josh Sargent and Calvin Stengs as well, none of which actually materialised. They were all linked. They all had talks with USA-based clubs, but no transfer got over the line. There was also a bit of a random one as well around chap from Uruguay, Gremio, central midfielder called Caballo, 28-year-old. A fee was agreed with New York Red Bull. £5 to £6 million. It's gone completely quiet. I have no idea why. If anybody knows, please get your comments in below, because let's face it, I have no clue. We'll hold our hands up here. If we don't know, we don't know. Maybe the social media team of Red Bull had a day off. Maybe something came out in the paperwork, something came out in the medical. I have no idea. But a lot of movements did kind of threaten to happen. I think on Almiron, I don't think, to be honest, a move to the USA would have been the best thing for him. The last 2 years at Newcastle, he's just kind of hit his peak. His form's going up and up and up in terms of goal involvement, contribution and assists. A move to the Premier League, kind of mid-table selection of teams like a Brighton or something would probably be great for him, or even Serie A, a team like Torino, Udinese. Somebody like that would hugely benefit from Miggy Almiron and that kind of role he plays just behind a striker creating. So he didn't move to the MLS. We know Newcastle have to sell anyway, but that one's not materialised. Doesn't mean he won't move from Newcastle. There's still plenty of time. Josh Sargent, listen, USA international, great season at Norwich last year. Norwich fell short of the playoffs, but will they have a good season this season? Who knows? I think Sargent will get a move, and I think it will stay in England. I think it could be January time for Sargent, a move to another championship club or even a Premier League team that needs a few goals. I don't think a move back to the States would suit him. His age, he's got a lot of unfinished business here. You know, he had a good start to his career in Germany, came over to the Premier League, and to be honest, he did pretty well for Norwich last season, a very competitive league, so I don't think he'll be moving either. Stengs is probably one that will end up in the USA, so if you're a fan of Calvin Stengs, Feyenoord winger, I mean, if you look at Feyenoord's squad, they got Dillerson, they got Ivanisevic, they got some other very interesting wingers as well, like Pashao, so they're stacked Feyenoord in that position. I remember when Stengs came through, kind of burst onto the scene in the Eredivisie back with AZ Alkmaar when he's a teenager. Him and Cup Miners, they played in an RZ team against Manchester United in the Europa League. Obviously, Cup Miners has really pushed on. Stengs kind of hasn't really worked for him over in France. He's back in the Netherlands now, but I think if he doesn't get a move Europe-wise before the window closes, I think you will see him in the MLS in 2025. So those are the rumours. We had some departures as well. Interesting, Shaqiri was let go. Want to get your thoughts on that. if you're a Fire fan, get some comments in. Why are you letting Shaqiri go? Does it free up a foreigner, kind of a foreign player slot? But you didn't get anybody in, so that's very interesting. And Focaccia as well, Brazilian striker over at Portland, he was also released. He's only 25, 26, so to see him go on a free as well before the deadline shut was also interesting. The big move is Moise Bombito, centre-half, Canadian youngster. He burst onto the scene really in the Copa America for Canada. It seems, Romano's here we go. It seems he's going to be going to France. He's going to get his big Europe move. Looks like he's been earmarked to be the replacement for Tobido at Nice. I believe he's travelling, so I think that transfer will happen. I think a fee's been agreed of around 7 million there, and fair play to the lad. I mean, watching him, he's quick, powerful, strong, very athletic, 20-year-old centre-half. I think he's got future Canada captain written all over him. So, rumours started, departures happened. Like I say, it was really exciting. A lot of people don't give the MLS much credit, to be honest with you. Sorry if you're an MLS fan, that is the kind of reality, but we don't do that here. We don't take that approach. Really exciting start to the transfer window. So what we'll do now is we'll jump into the transfer hub and take a look at everything, and let's do a bit of a breakdown and see what movements actually happened. So, Abraham Romero, Mexican goalkeeper, he made the move from LAFC to Columbus Crew. 45k, backup keeper, seems to be very well liked, and a little good addition to the roster there. Ariel Lassiter, son of the famous Roy Lassiter, Costa Rican winger, joined Chicago Fire from Montreal. Dominic Machuk, very, very exciting player, Polish right winger. He joined Real Salt Lake for $1.5 million. Excellent signing. We'll touch on him a little bit later, but that's a very exciting, a very good addition to the MLS. We then had Joaquin Fernandez, signed for Kansas City on a free for Trabzonspor. This guy, 28 years old, hugely experienced, very good addition to the Kansas City roster. Right back Juan, he joined Dallas from Montreal for a very small fee of 45k. Then we had Al Hassan Yusuf, central midfielder, Nigerian, plays for Royal Antwerp. He made the move over to New England for 2.3 million. Huge statement from New England. That's a lot of money, but he's 24, very exciting player. Yet to be capped for Nigeria, but a lot of appearances over in the Jupiler League, so expect him to really kick on and add quite a lot to the New England side. Nicolas Guarchini, the USA striker, he joined FC Cincinnati, so back over in America. He joined on loan from Como. And then Pep Biel, attacking midfielder at Olympiacos. He recently had a stint at Augsburg. To be honest, didn't really set the world alight, but it could be a very interesting addition for Charlotte FC. This guy's an attacking midfielder. A lot of qualities. You know, Augsburg took a bit of a punt on him, but listen, they're stacked of attacking midfielders, so it's very hard to break into that team. However, in Cincinnati, I'm sure he will flourish, so keep an eye on him. So those were the movements across the last 2 days of the transfer window over in the MLS. Get your comments in below. Some very exciting ones. For me, Al Hassan Yusuf, really, really promising player. He really could find his feet. And Dominic Machuk as well, the Polish winger. We will touch on him shortly, but that is your rundown of exactly what happened on the last 2 days of the transfer window. Now, we probably, just compared to recent transfer windows, expected more from the last 2 days. However, if you look at the transfer window as a whole, it's been very, very intriguing in terms of the moves that have happened over to the MLS. I mentioned at the start of the show, we've seen Marco Reus come over from Borussia Dortmund. What a legend. Another big name signing for the Galaxy. Alexei Miranchuk as well. What a player. Torino last season, a wealth of appearances, goals and assists for Atlanta, Lokomotiv Moscow and Ukraine. This guy is a talent. £12 million as well is the fee for Alexei Miranchuk. And of course, Tim Ream I mentioned, ex-Fulham. I mean, I've watched Tim Ream live many a time. Fulham, Bournemouth, I've had many battles in the Championship and in the Premier League. I think every time that we have met, Tim Ream has captained and led out Fulham. Solid centre-half, and not surprised he's still going, and he's going to kick on in the States, I'm sure, because from what I've seen of him last season, he's still in great physical condition, rarely gets injured. So some great additions to the league. What we're going to do now is we're going to focus on the top five. The top five, in my opinion, players and transfers that have completed that could really make a difference between now and the end of the season. If you don't know, this is the last transfer window. So the transfer window is completely shut, apart from free transfers, of course, but it's completely shut from now until the season ends in December. So the squads are confirmed, apart from the odd free transfer, which will, of course, happen. However, over the last 6-7 weeks, there's been some very interesting transfers that have taken place. The mainstream media probably won't tell you about them. We're going to tell you about them because that is what we do. So let's start with number 5. So in at number 5 is a young player called Patrick Yazbek. 2.5 million was paid by Nashville to bring him over to the MLS from the Norwegian side of Viking. He's been capped once by Australia, but look, he's 22 years old. He's a box-to-box midfielder, very exciting. 14 appearances so far this season for Viking in Norway, 26 the season before. He's athletic, he's the right age, but what he can also do is take the ball on a half turn as well. So he can play holding midfield in a 6. He can also play off the front in a 10, but this guy's a proper number 8. Box-to-box midfielder, and I think, this could really be the making of him. Moving over to, let's face it, it's probably a bigger league, the MLS, than the Norwegian league now. So he's made the move with quite a big price tag as well. So very excited to see what he can do. I think he's going to impress. He would have gone under the radar for sure, but at £2.5 million, he's going to be starting. He's going to be playing. He's in great condition because he's halfway through the Norwegian season. So he's going to kick on now, and I'm very excited to see what young Yazbek can do over at Nashville. That is your number 5. In at number 4 is Joaquin Fernandez. Big fan of Joaquin. This guy's a 6'4" centre-half. He's come on a free transfer from Trabzonspor in Turkey. Listen, I think this is a great signing for Kansas. Listen, he's hugely experienced, over 150 appearances across La Liga and the Turkish league. This guy has played some serious football. Big in stature as well. And look, we have centre-halves on the Kansas roster, of course we do. Who is it? Fontas, Castellanos, who's the other guy? Rindao, Rosero. Look, a couple of them are getting on. But this move, trust me, this guy will be knocking on the door to be a starter. Whether it's starting in a centre-back pairing of a 2, changing the Kansas backline to a 3, or even go in front of 2 centre-halves, playing as a holding midfielder because he's very good technically on the ball. I think the fact that they brought him in for free as well, players like Fontas, they are getting on a bit, close to 35 now. Joaquin's 28. He's got a good 4, 5, 6 years left on the clock in him. So, yeah, really expecting this to be a great transfer for all involved. Joaquin Hernandez is the number 4. Keep an eye on him, for the rest of the season. I think this is a very, very good purchase. And this is where it starts to get interesting. Number 3, we have the centre-back, Chidozie Avswehem, who has joined Cincinnati for 500k. This guy's a centre-half. He's joined from Boa Vista in Portugal. He spent quite a lot of his career in Portugal. 34 Nigerian caps as well. Tall, powerful, centre-half, right back as well. But it's his pace and his power which is such a big bonus for any team because it allows his defensive line to be very high in games just because of the recovery pace he's got. Look, where did he come up from? He come up in Portugal. So he started at Porto. Very, very well educated, well schooled. He's played for Leganes, he's played for Hajduk Split, and of course he's played for Boa Vista. So across Porto, Boa Vista, Split and Leganes, 4 very well-renowned European teams there. We're talking over 170 games for those big European clubs. So he's been involved in big matches. I think this is an exceptional signing for 500k. And I think it's going to change the way Cincinnati play. That line can push up considerably more now with his recovery pace. So as VM, for me, is the number 3 signing. I think it's a very good signing. Number 1 and number 2 were so close. It was so hard for me to pick. But at number 2 is the young 20-year-old Polish winger, Dominik Marczuk. 20 years old. This guy, who's just joined Real Salt Lake, in my opinion, is going to be exceptional. He's signed from the Polish Premier League, a team called Jagiellona. And 34 games, 13 assists, 6 goals for them last season at just the age of 20. Now, within those 34 games, he played right wing. He played right back. He played right wing back. He also played left wing. At 20 years of age, this is an incredible signing. Normally these kind of players, you know, they'll go to a Germany, they'll go to an Italy, but to come over to the MLS, I think he's going to take the MLS by storm. So many positions he can play, so many attributes. He can go on the outside, he can go on the inside. He's two-footed, and like I said, last season, 34 games, 13 assists, 6 goals as a 20-year-old. He's been capped at every level for Poland as well. Not been capped for the first team yet, but under 21s, under 19s, under 18s, under 16s, heavily capped there. So I think this is a great signing. I cannot wait to see what Marchuk does for Real Salt Lake. I really can't. Keep your eyes on him. It's going to be a good signing. And coming in at number 1, yes, it's a loan. Yes, the loan expires in December, but this guy really impressed for DC recently. It's Lewis O'Brien. What a load of experience Lewis O'Brien has in terms of English Football League games. Over 200 games across the Championship, League One and League Two. And let's face it, 70-80% of them are in the Championship. The Championship is an unforgiving league, okay? What the Championship requires is Tuesday, Saturday games. Tuesday, Saturday. So it's 2 games a week. Lewis O'Brien has been doing that since the age of 18. He also plays centre mid as well. So not only is it 2 games a week, he is box to box, up and down. So this guy, he can do it all. He can absolutely do it all. Really impressive, as I mentioned, for DC last season. He finished the season at Middlesbrough, where he played 23 games in the back end of the year for Middlesbrough's playoff push and running. They didn't quite make it, but listen, this guy would have had Championship clubs queuing up for him. So the fact that LAFC have got Lewis, I think, is absolutely huge. You put him next to an Ilya Sanchez, you put him next to an Atuesta, you put him next to Tillman. Like, all these guys are going to kick on a gear in terms of their game just by playing next to Lewis O'Brien. This guy is an unbelievable central midfielder, and whoever plays next to him will just instantly be better because of his knowledge, his engine, and his ability just to take the ball on the half turn and make things happen. Like, this guy's been making things happen in the Championship, and like I said, I've been to many Championship games. I've followed Bournemouth in the Championship. I've seen Lewis O'Brien in the flesh play many a time. And this guy's football brain, football engine, football everything just makes him a very complete package. Now, why is he in the MLS? Well, he was at Huddersfield. Had a superb season for Huddersfield as they really pushed on towards the top of the table. Himself and Harry Toffolo were Huddersfield's 2 best players. Nottingham Forest bought them both. But if you know Nottingham Forest, they buy absolutely everybody. So they bought in Toffolo and O'Brien, and they bought in a lot of other players as well. And they kind of just got left to kind of figure it out, and the manager left, and it was just a mess basically. Lewis O'Brien needs stability. He kind of got that at Middlesbrough. I'm hoping this loan could turn into something a bit more permanent for him, because that's what he needs. But for me, this is the signing of the window. We know LAFC, as I mentioned, have got great centre midfielders like Sanchez, like Tillman, like Atuesta, but you throw in Lewis O'Brien into the mix. For me, this is the signing of the window. It's not cost them anything, it's a loan, but what he will bring to the team, he will create chances, he will improve the defence as well, just with his knowledge, and he's just going to be able to take the ball in pressured situations off the keeper and help all those around him. The experience he has is second to none. So yeah, as you can tell, I'm a big Lewis O'Brien fan. To be fair, to beat Marchuk in terms of the signings, you've got to be pretty damn good, but what a signing that is. Really happy for Lewis O'Brien as well. If you're an LAFC fan, listen, you've got one hell of a player on your hands. So that is, for me, is the number 1 signing from the transfer window. So there you have it. I mean, transfers galore have happened over the course of the window over in America. But I just realised, I've actually forgot to come to some of your questions. So if you want to get a question in, get your question in the comments below, and then we try and do them on the next show. So first question is from Troy 1994. Troy asks, who is your favourite all-time USA player? Good question, Troy. Crikey. I tell you what I was a big fan of back in the day, key Premier League era, was Brian McBride. Striker, Fulham, Everton, goals, amazing in the air. Brian McBride, he always went in my fantasy Premier League team, to be honest with you, because he's always cheap, but he's he's always a shoe-in for a goal. Sorry, I couldn't get my words out there. I'm just reminiscing about how good Brian McBride was. But there you go. So yeah, Brian McBride, and maybe also Claudio Reyna. I just remember peak Claudio Reyna at Rangers. What a player as well. So probably say those are my two. Used to be a fan of Reyna's son. He's moved over to Forest recently, but hasn't really done much. I thought at Dortmund he was going to kick on and be the next big thing, and then Forest bought him, and he hasn't quite happened. So, yeah, probably say McBride or Claudio Reyna on that one. Who else have we got here? Sarah Jones. Sammy, who do you think will win the English Championship this season? A little bit off topic, I suppose, but in terms of the English Championship, I'll have to sit on the fence here, Sarah, and say it's too early to say. I mentioned, a minute ago how unforgiving that league is. 46 games, we're a game down. So it's way too early to say. What we will be doing, after about 4 or 5 games when the transfer window closes, I will be doing a championship predictions show then. So make sure you subscribe and tune in so you don't miss that one. It allows, about 10% of the games to be played and also the squads to be finalised, and helps us kind of understand, because you do a predictor now, it's absolutely pointless. It's such a crazy league. The league is so long. Throw cup games in, you're looking at about a 60-game season. You can go on so many peaks and troughs of good form and bad form throughout that season. Just literally anything can happen. I've followed Bournemouth, in many championship season as well. Amazing times. It costs you an arm and a leg to go home and away every Tuesday, every Saturday. But amazing football. You just never know what can happen. So I will give you a prediction, Sarah, on that show in a few weeks' time. So make sure you tune in for that one. I do, however, I will say, I do look at Sheffield United. They bought Kiefer Moore from Bournemouth. They bought Callum O'Hare from Coventry as well. And I think Raksaki from Crystal Palace is going to sign for them. He was at Charlton last season. Very good winger. So yeah, I think Sheffield United could and should be up there. Oh, they also signed Harry Sutar as well. Big Australian centre-half from Leicester. So, yeah, probably say Sheffield United, but I'm not going to commit to that yet. Let's give it a few weeks. Who else have we got here? Just looking through. Brooklyn Bob. Brooklyn Bob says, who's the best signing of the MLS window? For me, Bobo, it is Alexei Miranchuk. 12 million, scored plenty for Torino, Atlanta, Ukraine, Lokomotiv Moscow. I've seen him live once. Bournemouth played Atlanta in a friendly. But watched him many a time in Europe, and what a player. 12 million as well. It's got to be up there for a record almost for the MLS, surely. But yeah, 28. He's got some good years ahead of him as well. I think he's going to do very, very well for Atlanta. So look, I'd probably say Alexei Miranchuk, but I always have a soft spot for Tim Ream as well. And don't get me started on Lewis O'Brien again, of course. Any other questions? Sammy, can't read that out. I think we'll be reading that out. No, that is it. So, thanks for your questions. Hopefully that's been a pretty good roundup and given you everything you needed to know from the MLS. Of course, remember to like and subscribe. This is just one of the shows we do. We try and do a transfer roundup every single day. So we take all of the transfers across Europe, put it into one show, one place for you, so you don't miss a thing. Look, the mainstream, all they talk about is the Premier League Big Six, but if you're a football fanatic like us, we know there's more to football than just the Premier League Big Six. The transfer window's open for everybody. We'll also be doing a match reaction tomorrow. The English Premier League is back. So Manchester United versus Fulham is happening. PSG are kicking off their season tomorrow. Porto are kicking off their season tomorrow. I believe we've got Las Palmas versus Sevilla as well. So we'll be doing a breakdown and reaction for all of those games. And I'll be on the road on Saturday. I'll be going to the City ground, which is Nottingham Forest's ground. I'll be watching the mighty Bournemouth there in the away end for our first game of the season as well. So I'll probably do a vlog from the away end, maybe as a goal goes in, who knows. So get your comments in. Look, I hope you liked the show. If you didn't, tough, it doesn't really matter, but hit the like, hit the subscribe button, and hopefully we will see you again for the next one. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great weekend if I don't see ya.